Most people think they have hit their limit, that they are tired or just not talented enough. But that is actually a lie because you are not at your ceiling. You are at your comfort threshold. And there is a huge difference between the two, since your ceiling is what your body can actually do, while your threshold is just how much discomfort your mind will allow before it hits the panic button, which for most of us gets pressed way too early, so we quit not because we can't go on, but because it feels bad. I remember trying to run a few years ago when I wasn't an athlete and was just trying to get in shape. So I would start jogging, and within 2 minutes my lungs would burn and my legs would feel heavy, and my brain would scream stop because it felt like I was dying. So I stopped and walked and told myself I was just out of shape. But then I read something that changed everything, which said that when your lungs burn, you still have plenty of fuel left, because the pain is not a stop sign, it is just a signal from your brain trying to keep you safe and comfortable. And I realized I wasn't stopping because I was exhausted, I was stopping because I was uncomfortable. This happens in everything, not just running. So think about work or those hard conversations you avoid because you know you need to have them, and you know you have the words but you don't say them because the tension in your chest feels awful, and your brain interprets that social discomfort as danger, so you retreat and stay silent and choose the easy path. And then you tell yourself you are just not good at confrontation, when really you are just not used to the feeling of discomfort because you have a low tolerance for it, and that tolerance is capping your life. Here is the truth that your potential is not fixed by your talent, but by your ability to handle stress. Because if you can only work when it feels easy, you will only ever do easy things, and if you can only run when it doesn't hurt, you will never run far. So the person who wins is not always the strongest, but the person who can keep going when it feels terrible, because they have expanded their capacity and trained their nervous system to say this feels bad, but I am safe and I can keep working. So you do not just push harder because that is how you break, and you do not just suffer because that is how you burn out, but you have to calibrate it like lifting weights, where if you try to lift a car on day one you will crush yourself, but if you lift an empty bar you will not grow. So you need the weight that is just slightly too heavy and makes you shake, but you can still lift it because that is the zone where the growth happens. I started applying this to my work when I used to avoid difficult emails and would procrastinate for days because the discomfort of writing them was too high. So I changed the game by not forcing myself to write the perfect email, but just forcing myself to sit with the discomfort for 5 minutes, where I opened the document and stared at the blank screen and felt the anxiety in my stomach without trying to make it go away. And I typed one sentence and then another and stayed in the fire without running. And after a few weeks something shifted because the fear did not disappear, but it got quieter and the discomfort became familiar and normal. This is called systematic exposure, where you are training your brain and showing it that discomfort is not death. So you are showing it that you can function while feeling anxious or tired or awkward. And as you do this, your baseline moves, so what used to feel overwhelming now feels manageable, and what used to feel impossible now feels like Tuesday, because you are not becoming a different person, you are just expanding the container you live in. But be careful not to push too hard, because if you are truly exhausted you should rest, and if you are injured you should stop, since there is a difference between good pain, which is the burn of effort, and bad pain, which is the sharp sting of damage. So you need to learn to tell the difference, because if you push too hard you will crash, and then you will retreat even further. So you want to be challenged but not overwhelmed, and you want to be in the zone where you are struggling but still moving forward. Think about the last time you quit something and ask yourself if it was because you physically couldn't do it, or because it felt too hard. Because be honest that most of the time it is the latter, since we quit because we are uncomfortable, and we choose the path of least resistance, which leads to a small and safe life. But if you want more, you have to pay for it with the currency of discomfort. You have to be willing to feel bad and awkward and tired, and you have to keep going anyway, not because you are a machine, but because you are human, and humans are adaptable, so we can learn to tolerate almost anything if we do it slowly and consistently. So start small today, by picking one thing you have been avoiding, like a phone call or a workout or a difficult task. And do not try to finish it perfectly, but just try to stay in the discomfort for a little bit longer than usual, so you can feel the urge to quit and notice it, and then take one more step. That is how you expand and how you break the ceiling, not with a hammer but with patience and presence, and the willingness to feel uncomfortable and keep moving. Because your ceiling is not a wall, it is a mirror that reflects your tolerance, so if you change your tolerance the ceiling rises. And it is that simple and that hard, but it is worth it, because on the other side of that discomfort is the version of you that you have been waiting for, who doesn't quit and can handle it, and is finally free.